what David Moyes is going to do with his strikers from now until the end of the season is going to be pivotal. It's going to basically make the difference as to whether we stay up or not. It's quite funny because I've just finished recording a video with Geo, and when you hear the words that we've only lost once in the last 7, they sound comforting. They sound really, really good. However, that comfort dissipates pretty damn quickly as soon as you look at the Premier League table. Because you look at it and you can be in no doubt that we are in a precarious position. I've hinted in the last couple of videos that I wanted to discuss Danny Ings to one extent or another. Now, I am aware that he has done nothing good at West Ham so far, and he's done nothing bad. Fortunately, the injury that he sustained was quite a minor one, and he was back, but he missed one game. Not a problem at all. My biggest problem with Danny Ings isn't even his ability. It's just I really struggle when I look at David Moyes and I look at his team. I struggle to see how we're going to get the best out of him. Now, I'm going to play you a clip in a minute from myself and Geo having a conversation about it. But we're both in agreement, myself and Geo, that later on in that game against Chelsea, when he took off Antonio, he did give Danny Ings a partner, and it was Jarrod Bowen. But I found it utter madness because, whilst I wouldn't necessarily call them similar, they're both diminutive players, aren't they? You'd think the better combination would, the obvious one was Scamacca, the big guy and the little guy, right? The guy that's going to win the headers for the flick-ons and the fox in the box. It would be Danny Ings. That makes sense. Mikel Antonio with Danny Ings makes more sense. The one I didn't think made any sense was actually Bowen and Danny Ings, because they're just going to struggle to really complement each other. Opposites attract, right? That's why that's why we've always had, in terms of a partnership, that's why you buy Hartson and you buy Kitson, because they complement each other. And we could have that. We could absolutely have a situation where Danny Ings becomes our Kitson, if you want, but you're going to need to find a Hartson. You don't do a Kitson and a Kitson, do you? And that's really inherently one of the issues here. Now, David Moyes has got an opportunity now. He's found this new formation. If he really wants to play with 2 up front, then he can do it. I'm far from convinced he's going to, which makes me really worried about the purchase of Danny Ings here, because we've signed him up on I think it's about a 3-year deal, 2.5-year deal, something like a 3-year deal, something like that, on 100-odd grand a week, and it seems like it's a firefighting. You know that thing that you see in emergency break glass. It feels like that's what we've done, yet without really us knowing where we're going to deploy him, how we need him, or even why we need him. And this is very, very odd. What I'm going to play you now is myself and Geo's discussion, which we have about Mikel Antonio, and it spills on to the wider subject of our striker situation. We also involve Jarrod Bowen in it because he was a massive part of things. It comes from our Patreon video channel, basically, which is, you can basically join by clicking the link below. It's patreon.com/HammersChat. It's a little section from our player ratings video, which we do. We do a player ratings video after every single game. This is the conversation we got into when we got on to the subject of Mikel Antonio.
Antonio.
I'm going to give him a 6. No, okay. We're going to discuss Moyes next anyway.
Yes.
This was terrible. What I saw then was terrible. It got to a point and where we just managed to grind down those defenders in the game, just at the point where the defenders think, I've had enough of this game. Bang, and he's there. Antonio's looking lively. He's looking sharp. Ball comes into him. He's leaning on him, backs him up. He's feeling him. He turns him. He rolls him. He runs in behind. It was brilliant. It was outstanding play.
Got him booked as well.
Wins a free kick, gets the booking. Wonderful. Yes. Okay. You're thinking, here we go. Now we can do something tactical. Not in any one of my scenarios is Antonio coming off at this point. Okay. Maybe he goes left for Benrahma. Okay. And then we do something else. Maybe he stays up there and Benrahma stays on. Maybe takes a midfielder off, and he becomes Ings' partner or something. There's any number of things going through my mind at this point. But I'm looking at it, thinking, oh hello, they're on the ropes here. Because anytime we put any pressure on Chelsea, they look like they were going to capitulate. And and I was really impressed by that point. He had a shot earlier on in the game where he sort of did a little flick, little sort of like Ronaldinho thing going on there. Didn't quite work out, but well done. A nice on for him. Got himself in good positions and just deserved. Honestly, he really deserved it. It was like, honestly, he worked so hard all day. It was like someone making a cake, right? And he's beaten the flour and the eggs. Do you know what I mean? He's put the sugar in there. He's greased the tin. He's put it in the oven. He's got it out the oven. He's cooled it down. He's iced it, and he's done all the stuff. And then right at the end, so hold on a second. I've just got to pop out the kitchen. Someone else pops into the kitchen and puts a cherry on top of the cake. So, what do you think of this lovely cake? Huh? Hey, he done well with that cake there. That's a nice cake. And Antonio's thinking, hold on, I made the bloody cake, right? That's a little. I could have just stuck with the football, but if we're doing a British Bake Off thing, that's how it would have worked out. And anyway, so I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'll give him a 6 out of 10, mate. But he didn't get a chance to finish the cake and put the cherry on.
I think somehow your cake analogy works perfectly fine in this situation. I can't even disagree with you. I completely agree. I'm going to give him a 6 as well. And you know something? I feel a bit harsh only giving him a 6 because I feel like his effort warranted more. But the reality is he didn't really cause any problems in the 18-yarder, which is what we want him to do. You know, he had that flick. It was unlucky. It was, there was nothing else he could do. He was inventive. At least he tried something. And that's what Benrahma needs. Look, Mikel Antonio's got no options here, but he's tried something and it nearly worked. You get the ball to your feet, try something, not pass it backwards, Declan. That's not trying anything. That's playing it safe. And at least Antonio's had a little bit of audacity about him. Twice, fantastic balls down the left-hand side in the first half, puts it behind the defence for Emerson to keep running on to and break away. And I think we've got a corner off the back of it. Second half, down that line for Soufal. There you go, bang, the cross came in. It was pretty poor because there was no one to aim at because Antonio was one supplying him. That's the only problem with Antonio. It's not his fault. Often he's the one giving it to somebody to go and create, but then the ball needs to come in the box and Antonio's not there because he's actually behind the guy that's just crossed it. That turn on Badiashile, fantastic. Like you said, I have a bit of this. I'm going to spin you. I'm away. Then he buys. Goes down. He had no other option. He was getting swarmed at the time as well. There was nowhere for him to go. Earlier in the season, Antonio would have stayed on his feet and kept running, just got tackled pretty easily by somebody else. But actually, this one, he gets in front of his man, says, go on then, touch me. Bang, yellow card, free kick. Come on, boys, let's get up the pitch. I thought he was really good, actually, within the parameters allowed by A, David Moyes, and B, Jai Bonaside Benrahma. It's difficult for a striker to perform when your two white men are getting, or I gave him a 5 and a 6, and last week I think they got a 5 and a 4 or something. What's Antonio meant to do when he's playing with support players like that? And like you said, when I watched it today, I knew the subs had already happened. So I'm sat there, I know that Ings is coming on and I just sat there thinking, why did he take Antonio off? He's not doing anything wrong here. In fact, he's doing quite a lot right. In fact, Antonio needs Danny Ings to come onto the bloody pitch, and Danny Ings needs Antonio to stay on the pitch. And then I saw the Ings and Bowen thing, and Bowen was a little bit busy in the last 10 minutes, won a free kick out wide and wherever. I thought, you've identified correctly, Ings needs a strike partner to work.
Yes.
So what's your solution? To take off the strike partner, to take off the striker and put him with Jared Bowen. And it goes back to flipping Sam Allardyce stuff when he used to bring on Andy Carroll and take off Stuart Down at the same time. I hated it. Oh yeah, the guy that needs crosses will take the best crosser off. And it's one of them. He's done it again. We'll put Ings on who needs a strike partner. We'll take off the striker who also needs a strike partner. Antonio must be. If I was Antonio, I think I'd have throttled Moyes on my way off the pitch. I said, mate, I've stood up there for 70 minutes working my nuts off with absolutely nobody around me. You take me off and you put Ings on, you put Bowen right next to him. I've needed Bowen next to me for the other 70 minutes. Where's my support? Why have I had to run around like a headless chicken with nothing, was feeding on scraps? And you give the new guy who's been here 5 minutes everything he needs to succeed in the final 20 minutes. Where's my respect? Why haven't I got what I need to succeed?
Yeah, for sure.
Up front. And honestly, Antonio's got every right to be fuming off the back of that. And if he sat there on his podcast, not that I would agree with it, but if he sits on his podcast and comes out with, well, I thought I deserved to stay on the pitch. I wish I left West Ham in January. This is why I wanted out. I wouldn't blame him, to be honest with you. not saying it. I don't think he should say it. But if he had that as a thought process, it's difficult. But
imagine if he does his next podcast, and because with Callum Wilson, isn't it? If he turns around and says, "Callum, just imagine it like this. Imagine I'm a baker and I'm baking a cake.
Yeah, Callum, you've made a cake. You've downloaded the recipe. You've gone the shop. You've done everything. And Isaac comes on and puts a cherry on. What would you think?
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I'll be watching now, listening.
I'll be sending that Swedish guy back to IKEA. That's what I'd be doing.
Absolutely.
Moyes, what are you giving him?